A new lens for Pentax, some really interesting stuff to go in the shoe of your camera, and of course the Sony A7IV plus a lot more. Stick around, let's get right into this. What's going on, everyone? Seth Miranda here. This is Adorama Rewind, and let's just get right into it. It's a really interesting week, and I know you think I'm gonna go right for the A7IV, but nah, I'm gonna give it to the Pentax kids first because I know you guys are looking for some love out there. Who hurt you? Who hurt you? Check it out. You guys got a new lens. Boom! We got a 21mm f2.4, which is a really interesting overall spec, but it's also a 8-blade diaphragm. So usually you hear about 7-blade diaphragms for some lower cost lenses and 9 to 11 blades for a higher cost. This is right there in the middle at 8 blades, which if you're not familiar, the blades of your diaphragm are the iris, your aperture. The less blades, the less smooth it is. The more blades, the more round it is. And that actually affects the shape of the out of focus portion of your shot, the bokeh, however you pronounce it, I don't care. But if you think about like these balls behind me, the shape of them are dictated by the shape of those blades. I don't know why I'm harping on this one spec, but I just thought it was pretty interesting. It also has a pretty cool minimum focusing distance of just a little over ½ a foot. And it's a new lens for you Pentax people, so that's awesome. And it looks pretty cool. It looks pretty nice and sleek, nice silver, black choices there as options. But if you are in the Pentax system, go check out that link down below. And don't forget to check out the Adorama blog in general. It got a huge facelift, and you're gonna be looking at a bunch of it throughout this episode. Let's go right into another interesting release from TT Artisan. They actually put out something that's not really new, but we haven't seen in a while, but it is actually pretty affordable. This is a shoe-mounted light meter for, let's say, any vintage camera or cameras that just don't have light meters in them. You know, they're saying for Leica here, but you could literally put this on any camera that has a cold shoe that doesn't have a light meter, and it will work, obviously. It's kind of like its own isolated unit on the shoe for $56. That's what's cool here, because a lot of other versions of this have been about $200. There's a Voigtlander. There were two versions of the Voigtlander one. They were both around $200. This one, $56 and you're off. It's great. I think it's pretty cool. They gave you color choices and all of that. And I think it's really cool for people out there that might be new to cameras that don't have light meters in them. We're seeing big resurgence of people shooting film, young shooters shooting film. You get that camera from a yard sale or whatever. It might not have a working light meter. It might not have a light meter at all. $56, brand new. You're off going into light meter readings right there from your camera. Really cool, really great, very small. Awesome. I just think it's great when stuff like this comes out. And another thing to throw in your shoe that I thought was a really interesting release, Sony. Sony put out basically a traditional speed light, two of them actually. So you're looking at the HVL F60RM2 and the HVL F46RM. Just rolls off the tongue. Beautiful model names. The main difference I'm finding here, aside from the price, is the 60 has a head that can go flip vertically or horizontally, kind of like the older Sony flashes that from a few years ago, and the 46 seems to just be a regular bounce tilt head. So that's one difference. The other is recycling power. But what's interesting about these is that they're kind of putting them out there messages wise that they're to sync better with their cameras for higher frame rates, like 20 frames per second, and also to sync with the 400th of a second higher sync speed the Alpha 1 gives you. But that's kind of a little misleading, so I'm just gonna set this a little bit straight. That 400th of a second, if you have an Alpha 1, will work with other flashes. It's the camera syncing up with the strobe more than anything. And I've done live streams on Adorama's Twitch channel doing 400th of a second flash sync with Pro Photo lights. But what is interesting in the messaging here is that they're talking more about the frames per second. So they're touting it can get to 20 frames per second without skipping. That means it's all about not just sync, but recycle time. And these are AA battery powered strobes. You can get nickel metal hydride rechargeables, obviously, and you can get an additional battery pack for these strobes to help out the power for the strobe to faster recycle, which means it can keep up faster with your camera. What I don't know, what I can't really find too much of a spec on is what's the maximum power that these on-camera speed lights can go to keep up with 20 frames per second. So it probably is talking more natively to the camera, being Sony branded, Sony created, Sony designed speed lights to a Sony body like the A1, the new A7, the A7IV, you know, the R4 and stuff like that. So I'm sure there's more things going on here communication-wise, including the wireless transmission for off-camera Speedlight if you needed to talk, you know, via wireless transmitter. So if you are in the Sony system, I'm super curious. Does this interest you? Are you a press photographer that was looking for something that would talk more natively to your camera? Are you like an event photographer, a wedding photographer? Do you want an on-camera Speedlight? Did you want it from the Sony itself? Let me know down below what you guys are thinking about this. I thought it was a super interesting release, especially on the same time frame as the big release of the A7 IV. So let's just go jump right over to that. So we actually had Renan Ozturk get his hands on it for Adorama TV. So if you want to check out his thoughts, he's an incredible filmmaker, photographer, and adventurer out there, and just makes incredible films. I urge you to check out his work. But if you want to hear his take on it, he got hands on it and actually went out there in the field with it. You can see some examples from that camera and everything. Overall, it's a major, major upgrade. We're looking at a spec jump all over the place on this thing. And if you want to think of it this way, I feel like if you're not sure what the A7 III was really about, you need a little bit of a history lesson. So 3 years ago, roughly, the A7 III was dropped into this industry and it was monstrous. There was nothing out like it at the time for a full frame mirrorless. With the capability this thing had, at the resolution this thing was, for the price point it was. The A7 III debuted at $2,000. This made every other brand have to find a way to create a mirrorless full frame at that price point. You saw the Canon R drop down in price. You saw the Nikon Z6 and you know, the Lumix series as well. But this is the evolution of that. So there is a little price jump. It went from the A7 III being $2,000 to the A7 IV being $2,500, but you do get significant upgrades. First of all, you get way more megapixel. You get 33 megapixels right here. Plus, you get a flip out screen. You get a full-size HDMI port. It's 10 frames per second. And, you know, there's a lot of people that are kind of going like, I don't know if this is worth it, and I want to see this. You're basically getting an A7 III mixed with an A7S III together. You have great video functionality. You have really good stills capability. It's definitely a redesigned body. Let me go back over here. So this dial right here is actually a customizable dial, so you can set it to white balance, ISO, whatever you want to put it to. The old ones, or most of the Sony bodies, are just EV compensation, and it is lockable, so you do not accidentally hit it. The other big difference is, obviously, you get the flip out screen. Big deal there. If you're trying to film yourself, if you're more into shooting video in general, flip out screen is definitely a little more optimal for that. But the dial up top, right here, the dial up top, if you look at it, now you can switch between photo and video and S&Q right there as a dial, as opposed to in the mode dial itself, which is really nice. You don't have to disturb whatever you're in and go right into like a switch, which we've seen on other cameras like Nikon and Canon having a legit switch to go from stills to video. So it's nice to see them take feedback and put in this camera. So I think it's a really formidable upgrade from what you were getting, including some of the specs that I didn't even mention. Let me go back over here. You're looking at basically an increase in processing speed. I'm pretty sure there's dual processors of the Bionz XR engine in this thing. So you have an increase in the processing, which means that you don't have such issues with buffering. There's a lot of reviewers out there saying they haven't hit a buffer limit yet, or they're just hammering it down for like a good amount of time and still haven't seen anything happen as far as the buffer filling up. And that comes also from, there's dual card slots for SD, but one of those card slots is the newer hybrid slot that has also the capability to take CF Express Type A, like the Alpha 1 takes, like the A7S III takes. So it looks like this is where Sony's going. Full-size HDMI ports, flip-out screens, and hybrid card slots. The card slots plus the engine equals no real worrying about bogging down on images should you do burst at 10 frames per second at 33 megapixel full frame. Pretty cool. You also are getting, of course, the 15 stop dynamic range. That's like always a thing. 4K 60 recording. Now, I think this is the one where people have gripes on it. It is 4K 60 with a crop, sure. But you are talking about a $2,500 price point. You are talking about a mid-tier body. This is par for the course. The Z6 does it. The Canon has a little bit of a crop on the 4K 60, but it's also 20 megapixels as opposed to 33 megapixels. It's less sensor data for it to process, so it's able to do things like that. So there's your trade-off, right? If you want to get 4K 60 with less of a crop, you have to take the hit on the resolution. If you want the resolution, you're feeling like you want more cropping capability or just having resolution in general for your stills, you have to, make some compensation there at this price point. Keep that in mind. But they did take care of you on the video because it is 7K oversampled. It's not just straight up 4K. You're really getting some good quality video here. Plus you get S-Cinetone, which will match cameras that you might have. So let's say you are a filmmaker and you have an FX9, FX6, FX3, whatever, things like that. You can have this as an extra body and have your colors match should you want to have it as like a B camera or something like that. You actually have that capability in a $2,500 price point. They did add some cool things like the field, what do they call this thing? The visual depth of field with focus map. So what that is basically a map color over the entire frame. So there's blue, red, and then it clears up where it's actually in focus. Blue and red show you what's out of focus before and behind your subject, and when it clears up and it's actually the image, that's what's in focus. So it's kind of like focus peaking, but in a different graphical interface, so it might be easier for some people to use, definitely easier for you to see. I find myself with any camera manufacturer focus peaking, sometimes I can't see it. If I chose red and I'm shooting something that's red, I can't see where those lines are coming up or something like that. So that's kind of cool. Maybe they will add that in firmware to other cameras. I'm sure it's something that will translate to other things. I mean, firmware is amazing these days. It really is. Of course, you also get an update in the autofocus. So yeah, the A7 III was a great camera and it definitely made a mark on this industry and definitely changed a lot of things, but it is, showing some age and they updated everything. So you get all the new stuff that's coming out in the newer bodies in an updated body of one of the most successful full-frame mirrorless cameras of all time. That is pretty great. I've heard the criticisms out there of certain things. I think you guys are asking for things to happen in a camera that isn't in this price point. It's that simple. They have to make decisions to make things accessible and affordable. And people in this price point, which is more of the mass general public at $2,500 as opposed to the Alpha 1, which is $6,500, or the A7S III, which is in the $4,000 range. You're getting a lot. You're getting a lot. I think they did a good job here. So congratulations to everybody in the Sony system. You now have a new body to mess with, and I'm sure the A7 III will, go down in price and be even more accessible. Check out Adorama's used department for some people flipping those A7 IIIs. If you had your eye on it forever, you probably get a great deal on it now that the newer body's out. That's just kind of a par for the course. All right, I'm gonna leave the gear talk over there. I wanna talk to you guys about some major events that are happening at Adorama or from Adorama at amazing spaces here in New York. I talked about last week, but there's the fashion photography event with Lindsay Adler, Emily Teague, Emily Soto, and more people. It is an incredible space, a gorgeous, gorgeous wooden antique warehouse loft. It's incredible. And then I'm doing a special effects hands-on photography workshop. I shoot special effects makeup mainly, and I get to shoot all these crazy creatures, and you can come join me. So the fashion workshop, you have all these incredible creators and photographers here, and just incredible space, plus all these incredible sponsors that are joining us: Profoto, Fujifilm, Nanlite, HP, V-Flat World, Tiffin, Roscoe Gels. It's gonna be stacked with amazing gear, amazing sets, amazing venue, amazing instructors, amazing models, and it's backed by Adorama. So come hang out, check out the link down below, all these incredible creators that you guys can learn from. And this is the loft, by the way. Incredible space. I was there yesterday, really great. And then I'm doing the special effects hands-on workshop, so come hang out. This is happening next week, Tuesday and Wednesday, October 26th for fashion, October 27th for the Halloween workshop. You're gonna join me and all these sponsors, Serret Studios, Profoto, Fujifilm again, where you can actually borrow some Fuji Instax for the night and go hang out and shoot some instant film, which is fun. Nan light for a lot of constant light setups. HP so you can leave with a print of something you shot that night. V Flat World is coming through. Tiffin so you can borrow some filters like black mist or star filters or different effects. Roscoe gels, of course we got to get grimy with the lighting. What are you kidding me? So it's me. This is some of my special effects work. You can come hang out at it. Daniel Norton, you guys know Dan, goes live every other week right here on Adorama TV. It has videos every other week also to teach you guys lighting for like the last decade on this channel. Ab Cisse, one of the best lighting techs I've ever seen in my life. Incredibly talented photographer and just an incredible joy to have on set. His experience is phenomenal. You've seen him do our Canon R5 video, our Canon R3 video, which was incredible if you haven't seen that. And he's also done some Fuji GFX videos for us as well. Francisco Rivera, a very popular cosplay photographer here in New York, really great guy, definitely understands his talent. And this is the venue, 6,500 square feet of grimy walls and stuff. I am so psyched. And I will be having 3 vehicles lit as sets. Mr. Softy Ice Cream Truck, a 77 Cadillac vintage hearse in metallic gray, which is pretty cool, and a New York City cab. So I'm gonna make those into actual setups, plus extra setups with lights for you to walk characters onto. There's gonna be around 10 characters with special effects, makeup, and costuming for us to create narratives around light and shoot. So come join me October 27th. It is gonna be bananas. So come join me October 27th. It is going to be bananas. You do not want to miss out on this. Check out the links below. And Adorama is adding more events pretty much like every week. There's stuff coming up in November for sure. There's photo walks that are absolutely free for you to join and stuff like that. So check out Adorama on Eventbrite. Hit follow if you're here in New York. Do not miss out. If you're thinking of coming to New York at some point, check out the dates of these events and you might want to, sync up with that. So I'll leave it there. I'm going to do shout out of the week, and I'm going to give it to a guy who used to come to every single Adorama event during the heyday, and then we had to go through all this lockdown COVID stuff, but he's still trudging along. Super dedicated, really nice guy. Definitely a fixture of the community. People know him every time we have an event. I'm going to give it to you, Arthur Graham. This guy is really working all the time to shoot the best he can, to keep growing his skill set, to keep shooting in general. Really great guy and definitely a nice energy to have out there in the photo community and at the Adorama events, and was always at the Adorama event space. So just do him a favor and give him a quick follow, be communal. And hey, if you're coming to the Halloween workshop, he's coming to that to come hang out as well. I'm happy to see you, Arthur. I'm glad you're well. Welcome back. I'm also going to do a special shout out. We had a tragedy happen recently. I'm sure you guys have seen it all over if you follow any of the cinematography type news out there. But Halyna Hutchins lost her life on set due to a tragic accident. And because of the nature of it, it seems like it's all been about a certain celebrity, but I wanted to pay homage to a creator that fell out there on the job. So let's do us all a favor and her legacy a favor, and just go check out her work. Halyna Hutchins, she's a cinematographer, has done a lot of work, directed photography, and a lot of short films. Go hit up IMDb. I'm going to put the link down below and just take a look at some of the stuff that she's done out there. I mean, she's been through it, and it's such a shame that such a tragedy befell her, but the least we can do is go check out some of her work out there. Question of the week. I'm going to keep this one super controversial because I want to see you guys fight in the comments. Well, let's keep it civil, all right? Breathe. Don't get political about this, okay? Waffles, pancakes, or French toast? I got to know. I want to hear what you prefer. Who's in what camp? I want to know what tribes we got out there. Is it waffles? Is it pancakes? Is it French toast? Who's going to come out on top? Cast your vote down below in those comments. But for now, you guys can hit me up on social media at LastXWitness. Check out my work on Instagram, yell at me on Twitter, join me live on Twitch or at my own YouTube channel for some instructional videos or past demos I've done. Join us live at these events. Check out 42 West, the Adorama blog. It just got a huge, massive facelift. It looks fantastic, and there's a lot of great articles on there. Check out Renan Ozturk's use of the A7IV, his take on it, and we have lots of videos on Adorama TV, almost twice daily we drop videos, if not more, when new product comes out. So keep watching Adorama TV. Till then, be good to each other out there, and I hope to see some of you at the Halloween workshop. If not, no, I'm just kidding. Be good to each other out there. Take care. Later. I know you're thinking I'm going to go right for the A7IV. Are you kidding me?